I think it's been established so far that Donald Trump he's not a smart person. He's not a very stable genius, despite the fact that, of course, he says things like this.
And then they say, is Donald Trump an intellectual?
They say.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
I'm like a smart person, you know. In fact, we need brain, and I got brain. I got like the greatest brain ever. Well, no, he does not. He does not have a great brain. Just because he took a test, an elephant test or whatever, to see that, you know, to figure out whether or not he has like dementia or something. And big surprise, he doesn't. He's just an idiot. He goes around claiming, "No, I'm so smart. I'm the smartest president ever." No, you're not. And we've got some examples. Look, it's not just about policy. For example, he doesn't know anything about any of the policies that he passes, or anything that he talks about. And for example, on healthcare, he didn't know anything about his own healthcare plan. But it's not just about policy. It's also on general things that he should have some sort of idea about what he's talking about. Now, let me give you an example. He goes back to when he was talking about Angela Merkel, right? Now, he was talking to Merkel about trade. Now, trade is something that Donald Trump purports that he knows a lot about. I know good trade deals, man. I tell you what, our trade deals are terrible. They're sad, and I know good trade deals. I can make good trade deals because that's what I do. I make deals, right? Well, he was talking to Merkel about bilateral trade agreements between the U.S. and Germany. Now, that's what he wanted. I just want to trade with Germany. Well, you can't do that because Germany is part of the EU. The EU trades as a bloc. Okay? So you can't just trade with one country. You have to trade with all of them. Now, Trump, during a meeting with Merkel, had to ask her several times if he could trade with just Germany. Now, according to the New York Times, Merkel was afraid to correct Trump since White House aides had told German officials that the four-term chancellor had been condescending to Trump during one of their first phone calls. Condescending. So, look at this. Here you have Snowflake Trump say, how dare Merkel be so condescending to me? Snowflake. Anyway, so at the risk, or to avoid the risk of offending our snowflake president, Merkel decides, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to make it a way to not offend this very thin-skinned idiot president. So she said that, made an explanation that an agreement could be reached in concert with the EU. So Trump responds, so it could be a bilateral? And Merkel just kind of nods and smiles. And then Trump said, no, that's great. That's great. It could be bilateral. He asked a couple of times. Again, not a smart person. In fact, he's so incredibly dumb that today footage has been revealed of Bill Gates talking about the couple of times that he had met with Donald Trump and what kind of conversations they had that made him look incredibly stupid. Watch.
Never met Donald Trump before he was elected. There was a thing during the election where he and I were at the same place and I avoided him. Anyway, then he got elected, and so I went to see him in December. He knew my daughter Jennifer because Trump has this horse show thing down in Florida. In fact, he went up and talked to Jen and was being super nice. And then, like 20 minutes later, he flew in a helicopter to the same place. So clearly he had been driven away, but he wanted to make a grand entrance in a helicopter. Anyway, so when I first first talked to him, it was actually kind of scary how much he knew about my daughter's appearance. Anyway, so I saw him at Trump Tower. I said, hey, science and innovation is a great thing. You should be a leader who drives innovation. And that conversation was about a broad set of things in energy, in health, in education. Pick things you want to do that are big. HIV vaccine, you could, accelerate that. Be associated with innovation. And the second time I saw him was the March after that, so March 2017 in the White House. In both of those two meetings, he asked me if vaccines weren't a bad thing. Both times he wanted to know if there was a difference between HIV and HPV. So I was able to explain that those are rarely confused with each other.
First off, I love the little anecdote that he told at the beginning. And he's like, yeah, look, Trump, he was there, talked to my daughter, which, again, that's a little creepy that he knows so much about her appearance. Weird. But that he left. They drove him out. He was already there. They left, and then they brought him on in a helicopter. Oh, my God. Who does that? Well, this guy. But getting to the point, though, HPV versus HIV. I have no idea what those are. Are they the same thing? You moron. Look, how could you not know? I could understand HPV not being as familiar with that, human papillomavirus. Okay. But HIV, that's the precursor to AIDS that develops into AIDS. How can you not know that? You lived through that time. You lived through the time when AIDS was a huge, huge thing. And it still is a big thing, but we can treat it a lot better. And people who have AIDS can actually live longer lives than they could before. How do you not know those two things are different? How do you not understand that? You went to college. I swear to God, he went to a school, which should, by the way, be incredibly embarrassed, and I think that they are. You went to Wharton. You have access to information. You have the internet. You have a cell phone. You can look up pretty much anything, any kind of information, to understand that there's a difference between HPV and HIV. You could understand that. You claim to be a very stable genius, and yet you continue every day to prove how much of an how much of an idiot you are. I was going to say like an epic moron, but I don't even know if that's strong enough. I mean, God damn it. Like, you're the president of the United States. Pick up a goddamn book and stop being such an utter embarrassment. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.